How's it going, guys? This video is sponsored by Delta Exchange. Okay, so if you want these kind of videos coming out basically every week, make sure to sign up using my referral link. Okay, so let's get straight to it. So we're gonna start off this week with Bitcoin. We're gonna discuss a few altcoin charts as well. So now that we have finally moved away from this current range, okay, it's gonna be much easier to look at price action, okay, and make new assumptions, new trades. And keep in mind, these charts now that we are seeing, okay, they are daily charts. So daily charts means that we're getting much more compression and much larger movements, right? So these weekly and daily time frames, okay, those are the ones that are going to shape the charts for further movement, right? Meaning that that is the ones that bring the high moves. So regardless, so I was not really certain about the direction or this downside we saw on Bitcoin. This move upwards, which got slammed back down, okay, this was worrying, and while we were just sitting at the lows and then moved lower, okay. So now that we have moved a bit lower, what I want to emphasize is that we have closed a lot of this void, right? So we still have the big figure around the 40k that we haven't moved into yet, right? So we can discuss for a long time, if we are going to run in towards that level or not. We also have some smaller levels within this range that we can discuss, but overall I think we can start building an idea, an assumption that potentially we are getting close to a bottom. Okay, so we're having here is the 70% retracement, okay, and we're having this prior consolidation, which is important to notice. So we have a lot of confluence, right? So we have a big figure, we have a lot of volume below. This is a low volume region, okay. We have a previous consolidation, we have a fib level, we got clean SR, okay. So it's a highly important level, and we can build an assumption of potentially now we will most likely be building the lows, right? So you can see on Bitcoin basically each time price has going into some very clean SR levels, as well as consolidations and fib levels, okay, we usually get a decent response in price. So you can argue that we saw at this level as well, right? And then on the other side, as we broke above it, once we retested this clean SR, okay, here as we retested the clean SR, price moved away, okay. So now we're coming back in towards that level. So we can still move lower, but I would not really like that. If you go to high time frame, I think this looks fairly decent for a potential bounce, okay. So to me the chart looks more completed. I doubt that we're gonna go down towards the lower 30Ks. Regardless, as I mentioned this on Twitter before. So even if it would go to 10K, we're still gonna make a lower high, right? So a lower high, I think it makes sense to come back up towards 60K from either from current level, or maybe we can get towards 37, 38, but I would doubt it. Okay, I think it's time to start, looking for some long plays very soon. Okay, so took some losses yesterday. For those you guys been following me, so you know which trades we have been in. So let's go to Ethereum as well. So I mentioned this, that I really wanted us to break above 38.4K, okay, for the bullish idea. And if we fail to break above 4K, we would expand towards 3K, okay? So we're having some decent fib levels, okay? So we're having the 70 and the 80% retracement, right? So we got the 70, the 80% retracement. We got a fairly clean SR. You can see how we're having the previous consolidation. Let me take everything off just to quickly go through it so you can see what we're talking about. So we're having here a clean consolidation, okay, and then we have these levels which kept the price the same as this level. So you can see how we have inefficient moves above these levels, right? So these are top patterns, right? So the same as you would, which you can argue this one is. So we're having these top patterns, we have these consolidations, okay, and then we're having the clean SR. So you know, we can argue, we can also put the fib from the absolute top to the bottom to see if you can see if you get any confluence there. You can see how we're having the 50% and the golden target, and so we have the 50% lining up nicely at these given levels, and then we're having the golden zone as well, right? So you know, if momentum of the market, you know, is a bit more aggressive, as since seems that we are loading up and we haven't really expanded too aggressively yet, right? So we can get, you know, a fairly aggressive wick, which would then you know, would be the absolute bottom. So as price moving in towards the 3k level here, I'm going to be very interested in taking a trade. So just gotta wait for this to see how it corresponds with the rest of the market, and then, you know, probably take a position. So yeah, it looks decent. The same goes here with AVAX as well. So you know, if you talk about structures here, you can see how from each of these places you have a consolidation. Price drives away from the consolidations and then comes back to that level, right? So back to origin. Here we can argue we're having more or less the same. Let me show you very quickly there. So here you have a clean SR, very close back towards the previous consolidation, okay? Then you're seeing how we created here a bottom pattern, right? Reversal, expansion away from this level in towards this double top, okay? And then we're getting sell-off, retest of the highs of the base, basically, that we sold away from, okay? And now we are expanding, right? So the expansion phase is from this current level, and okay, and then we're looking to see how far low or how much lower it can go afterwards. So we're having here the 70% retracement, we're having the 80% retracement, and we're having this level here of liquidity, okay? And you know, you can argue which level will be the most important. I think around 90. Just below 90, 86, you know, at the 80% retracement there, it's going to be highly important, okay? So if this is a much larger or more bearish case, you know, we could of course always go for the highs, sorry, for the lows there. That would also be, you know, regardless, a decent buying opportunity, but I will be looking at these levels. I think these levels are going to be very interesting to potentially bid, okay? So most likely we should see this in towards Friday, Saturday, and next week we're going to see these bounces, because keep in mind that we are printing in the weekly candle, right? So this weekly candle should be bearish, so hopefully we're going to get more chop than expansion the next few days. So Solana as well, you know, we can argue that we might get as low as 30 towards the lower end of the wick here, but regardless, I think it's important to start looking for potential bottom formations here, and then see if you can start reclaiming to get back higher, you know. So if we're gonna look at this chart as more bearish case, right, in sort of a bear market, you know, we will be looking at much lower prices, but I don't really think that we are there yet, right? So I think it's decent levels here to start looking for some potential long exposure. You can see how, you know, we're already 46% away from the highs, and you know, and if we would get down towards the 40 level, right, you know, that will bring 85% drop, right, which is a lot, especially for, you know, an ecosystem as Solana. So let's go take a look here at Cosmos. I'm zooming in on an 8-hour structure because this is the last structure. We have a clean SR around this $30 mark, these levels as well, but I think that should give in. This could bring a long opportunity, but you know, overall, if you wanna you know, use the levels that are more, that is high probability, you know, you should wait a bit lower towards 27, I would say. Now, you know, if we get that low, you know, that would be another question, but I think anything in between 32 and 27. Okay, regardless whatever happens within these levels, we should start looking for a new reversal to take the prices back to all-time highs, right? So you're having this massive move up in towards these highs. So I think in my opinion, it should getting a less and a smaller and smaller probability or liquidity for Atom. It should need some more time to build something up, right? So you want these kind of small bars building up, showing that price is ready. Once it goes, it's expanding. Sorry, give me a second. It's expanding aggressively, right? So you want these kind of formations, these reaccumulations levels, the same as this one right before the expansion. And then now as we are printing these levels, it could be something similar to these ones, right? These highs. And then if we're gonna get a larger move to the downside, that is where you want to bid and take prices back up. Okay, so let's see how this unfolds, right? So Cardano as well. I think I'm not watching anything else except this high time frame charts, right? So this is a 3-day, and the weekly is what I'm watching because we're having this large week. So I think these whole levels will just be important to watch, and then I think slowly we're gonna grind back at least to the $2 mark before going lower. So I think, or my point is, I think it's high probability that we're gonna see a bottom around these levels, then going back lower, right? So we need a lower high on this one as well. I think something like this, or we can argue that we might see taking out the low since a bearish structure, right? So lower low, lower high, okay, and then doing something like that if we're gonna go back into the bear market. But I would be very surprised if we do not get some kind of a retest in towards some of these levels. Okay, so I'm not taking a trend, I'm holding actually some spot, so I'm probably have average buying around 1.6, I would say, or something like that. So I should not take in Cardano. Is way too slow mover. Should have rather just taking the loss to begin with and put the money elsewhere, but it is what it is. So this one as well looking really decent. Axie fib level from low to high, we're having here the 70%, 70% 70 and the 80% retracement there. So if you go towards the 70 and the 80 level here, it should be some decent levels to potentially bid, and you can see how we're having this level here of liquidity, these levels as well, right? So I think if you're getting in towards anything between 60 and 70 would be a very good buying opportunity, right? A very good buying opportunity. So even 50 of course would be even better. So the lower we get, of course, it will be better. But I think probability wise, I think 70 should be the low. It would then take us close to a 55% from the highs. If you go down towards the $50 mark, it will be a 70% sell-off, right? Which is a lot. So getting back up would be around 200%. So let's go to the next one. DOT is not moving too much. I think these levels should hold. Probably gonna form some sideways pattern, and then looking for more upside, okay, because we have already gone down quite a lot. So that's the main difference between DOT and some of the other charts. So yeah, I think it looks decent. I'm just dollar cost averaging into DOT, bullish on this ecosystem. Okay, so so the FTM looking strong, but regardless, I'm not buying any highs, right? So I would rather buy around 2.2. Could be decent. Let's go here. Yeah, around 2.2. Okay, so if you do get, take this away, if you do get a sell-off back down towards some of these levels here of liquidity, that would be interesting. Okay, we might not get that low, but filling in some of the weakness around 2.4, then see how price is holding. That would be, let's check, 50%. Yeah, 50% retracement. Mana took a loss on this as well yesterday. Okay, so we mentioned this earlier in some of my videos. You can see how when Bitcoin is just sitting at support and you don't know which direction Bitcoin will break into, it means that when price is sitting around these levels, if Bitcoin just sits there or starting to pump, you would see then this go for aggressive candle to the upside. If Bitcoin then loses that support, you will see all of them suffer. So you know, for example, just want to bring some random examples. So if you have, for example, a coin like Atom, base prices come back down, coming into these levels, okay, and Bitcoin is sitting at support, it's mooning, right? And then you're having Mana as well, right? So Mana coming down and sitting at the same level, and instead of going upwards, you're seeing Mana lose and go down, and the structures and everything on both of these charts are very similar. There's not a big difference between them, right? So the only difference is that, you know, in the order book it comes buyers in basically for Atom, and it causes price to go up, while on Mana it doesn't, right? And once Bitcoin falls, it falls together with it. So you know, when Bitcoin just sits at support, you need a bit luck as well, right, to choose some of the coins that are the trend coins and whatnot. But if Bitcoin would stay at support for, let's say, another 2-3 weeks, maybe Mana got some traction, okay, and instead of dumping, we would see Mana taking, you know, a move to the upside, while, for example, another random coin was sitting at support, right? So both of these ones were pumping, and then the other one didn't pump, right, and went to the downside instead. So even though the structures are the same, it doesn't guarantee a pump, right? So highly important to notice. So regardless of what happens next, you know, we're having a large inefficient move on Mana. If price would to break below 2.5 here, okay, and showing some support, I think that would be a potential good buying opportunity to see where it can take us next. All right, so this one as well, I was really hoping for this to break upwards. It didn't, right? So that just means that potentially here we just now filling in some of the weakness, and you know, now the structure is completely different. Okay, so you know, it doesn't make sense to trying to long it, because you know, we are away from the structure I'm interested in. Okay, so it doesn't really matter at this point. So if you go to the 3-day, let's check the daily, zoom out, right? So on a daily perspective, this would just imply to me that, you know, that this level didn't hold. So we should at least move down towards some of these levels, right? So I think 150 then at this point would make a lot of sense. 150, even 100. So I'm just have to be patient now and see, you know, if another setup is setting up for this chart. So it's not just the coin, and it's not that we can't just get, you know, a 20% move to the downside. Now the structure that I was trading is broken, right? So the setup is not valid anymore. So the trade setup was more or less based on that price came back in towards a support level, and we had a reaction 3 times, a low liquidity level here, okay, and then we had a small bounce which got me a bit more hopeful, okay, and then instead of moving to the upside, right, we moved to the downside, right? So the trade idea is not valid anymore, right? Because now we're just getting a confirmation of these lower highs that this was not a reversal, it was a continuation of the bearish structure, okay? So the whole trade concept now from this chart is off, right? So it's basically just wrong. So CRV getting some decent, moving into some decent levels, especially if you go to a 4-hour chart. We're moving in towards this particular level here of liquidity, okay? We're having this support, clean SR as well, I think it's some probably the 70% retracement, so we could see a bounce here at least to close in some of the void in towards the $6 mark. Looks fairly decent in my opinion. Now on the other side, you know, if you want to have the ultimate good trade, that would be a sell-off back down towards the $4 mark. Okay, that would be a really good setup. So that would basically just be a fractal, right? So this price movement, if price would to come back down to that level, would be a fractal of what we are seeing here coming back down to this movement. Okay, so if you look at if you go to the 1 hour chart, okay, so look at this, right? So I'm framing you now the whole trade setup. All right, so it's a 1 hour chart. This is where price initiated the drive away. Okay, price coming down in towards this level, trying to hold. Okay, so if you go to the 12 hour chart, all right, so you can see how it's the same basically chart, right? So this here is the same one as this one, right? So if price would to come back down all the way towards 4K, the $4 mark, doesn't need to go all the way back down, but if it sells off towards that level, taking out these lows, I think that would be a extremely good trade. These levels as well is interesting. Okay, so let's see how those are unfolding. Sushi as well, coming back down. It will be interesting level to long for sushi. Will be if we do get it right. So we're sitting at a potential support at the moment. Okay, potential support. Now if that doesn't hold and we go lower, I think these levels will be interesting around or closer to the $6 mark, right? So we will see. Okay, so either you can wait for a reversal to start forming, okay, and then take a move to back to the upside, or else wait for this whatever it does, then break lower, sell off in towards the previous level, closing in this gap, then making some kind of a reaccumulation and then moving to the upside, right? So the lower we go, the higher probability it is, right? So always the lower you get in towards the previous consolidation, always the higher probability it will be for your trade. Okay, so yeah, I think that's about it for this one. Quick look at Luna. I think Luna also posted this the other day in the premium group. I think we're getting into some of these interesting levels. I got some ladders filled within these levels. I think this is a good level. So we're having the 50 and the golden target. Okay, so the 70. Let me just want to frame it out just below. Okay, so inside this we should be forming some kind of a level here and then coming back up, or at least that's how I look at it. So you know, you can say that the ultimate, if this was not Luna, you know, I would argue about, you know, the lower spectrum of the chart, but since it's Luna, we're having clean SR, some fib levels, some previous consolidation. I think inside this is gonna be at this decent place to start bidding it, right? So that would be a 30% drop. Let's see, the previous drop was 30%. Okay, so let's go to daily. So we haven't really, so if you look at the chart here, you see 30, 35, 30. Let's check this one, 45, right? So what about this one? Yeah, that's the large one. So we have basically not sold off more than more than 30%, right? Except the first sell-off. Okay, but you know, the upside was also extreme, right? We can't argue about that. Was about close to 8,000% to the upside, right? And then you had this massive sell-off of 80%, but that was included the whole market, right? So from that level, you know, you saw price just coming down, right? So if we do get a sell-off 30-35%, I think, you know, that should be decent levels to potentially bid for a continuation, or else, you know, as an extreme case, you know, if we can argue just to take a look at it as well as an extreme case, you know, then we would say that, okay, so the larger consolidation, right? That would be this level. So that would be the larger consolidation, If we saw not a bear market, but if you're gonna continue a lot of bearish flows, we might see price coming all the way back down. But I'm gonna give it a shot around these levels, maybe close in some bit more of the void, and then price coming back down, and see if you're gonna start continuing the trend basically to the upside. Matic as well, we're just moving chopping sideways, so it's really difficult to say exactly where price will land. But overall, we're having this extreme SR around 1.8. I lost this level, so we just have to see. Okay, at this point I can't see any distinguishing levels, except I think 1.8 should hold. That would also leave us with 40% drop from the highs. Okay, so I think that would be potential decent trade. Sand as well. I was hoping for price here to stall within these levels, but it didn't, right? Sold off now into the lows. So now we're just sitting at the low. So I think it's not a structure I'm trading. If we're taking out the lows, you can try to play the reversal and then see if the price can get back up. But it's not my favorite structure at all. Dusk selling off nicely here. Looks like a top here, so just a random fractal. Doesn't need to play out for such a long time, right? Because that will not be before April 23. But I just want to show a fractal, the point here that we might sell off aggressively, come back up. Let me take that off. Give me a second, because I think maybe too much for you. So point was potentially just sell off aggressively lower, within this or next week or whatever, then coming back up, and then see whatever how price starts forming. Okay, so regardless, if we do get a bit lower, I think it could be some decent trades here around 1.6, maybe 1.5 could be a decent buying opportunity. So yeah, I think that's about it for today, guys. Peace out.